While exploring the beautiful and luscious underwater world of Subnautica, you may have noticed that not all biomes are created equally. In fact, there is one which stands out quite particularly for its inhospitability and general hostility towards the player. Now that place will be the topic of discussion in this video, being the crater edge, of course. We will talk about where you can find this biome, what sort of inhabitants it has, what you can find while exploring it, and maybe touch upon some other interesting trivia about it that you may or may not have known. I also have to warn you that this video may contain spoilers to the main game of Subnautica, so if you haven't finished it or by any chance played it yourself and you would like to avoid having it spoiled for you, I would strongly recommend playing it first and then coming back to the video later, as it is possible that some key points from the game story might be slightly spoiled. But with that out of the way, let's jump into our prawn suit, turn on our flashlights, and jump right in. Now first of all, when we talk about the crater edge, what freaking crater are we talking about? Well, what you may not have known is that all of the other biomes that you explore in Subnautica are actually located inside of a crater of what used to be a huge active volcano which now lies dormant, and because of that has allowed for the sprawling and beautiful vegetation and fauna to inhabit its interiors and its top. Now, as you would expect, the crater of this volcano is raised from what is the general seabed of the planet, which is why the depth where you initially start with the Aurora crash and your seapod is so low, and if you simply keep going, you can at some point simply reach its edge, at which point the depth dramatically increases over a short distance, falling into the dark depths below. Now the place in question, also sometimes being referred to as the Void or the Dead Zone, simply surrounds the entire playable area of Subnautica and is, to an extent, meant to prevent players from leaving and make sure they stay in bounds. Now in terms of depth, this is by far the deepest place that you can find in the game, with its maximum depth that you can reach before being teleported back to your seapod being 8,500 meters. Now if you've ever gone to the edge yourself, you would probably soon realize that this is not a place where you should be, as the game announces,
"Warning, entering ecological dead zone. Adding report to databank."
After which you will most likely notice the sharp drop-off and the endless fields of blue that you can see stretching out in all directions. Now while you might think that this is simply a steep wall which goes all the way down to the 8.5 kilometers deep, that's actually not true, because somewhere around the 3,000 meter mark you can see some extra geometry that was left over, which you can stand on and explore. However, this being the edge of the crater, it will contain absolutely no vegetation and also no resources. In shape, these will be pieces of very sharp and jagged rock, making you think that it might be some of the magma or other pieces of earth and rock that simply got shifted when the volcano was still active. However, past this point, if you jump off, you will soon reach the actual edge of the world, after which point you will be falling through an endless void of an ocean until you reach 8.5 kilometers deep and you'll be teleported back up. If, however, you were scared of being lonely in these depths, you don't have to be, as this place is freaking hostile towards the player. When you enter the crater edge, a single ghost leviathan will spawn, and if you stay there for 30 seconds and longer, a second one will come following it. This number can go up all the way to 3 ghost leviathans if you were to stay past the crater edge long enough, who will pursue you tirelessly until you return back to the playable area or you are killed. Now generally speaking, this is mostly all of the information we have about the crater edge from what the game offers. However, there are a few additional conclusions that we can make and some speculations that we can go into. Now the information given by the game states that in this area only microscopic or leviathan classed organisms can exist. This can lead you to speculating that before the Kara virus outbreak, the void outside of the crater may have in fact been the home of many different species, which have simply either gone extinct or migrated towards different parts of the planet. Of course, because of that description as well, we can assume that the two core classes of animals that would inhabit this place would be either ones that consume said microscopic organisms, in terms of something like plankton, for example how whales do, or other large, aggressive forms of animals which hunt each other and survive because of that nutrition. Of course, the big question that everyone has is there something bigger out there? And while we cannot be sure, the answer is most likely yes. Considering all the animals that we know of in the game either live very close to or directly in the crater area, it could lead you to think that there are other much larger beings down in the dark depths which simply sometimes swim up to the surface or closer to hunt on some of these ghost leviathans. In the same way how the dragon sometimes swims up to drag some reapers down into the lava zone. Of course, all of this is just speculation, but we do know, based on some of the skeletons that we can find in the Lost River, that undoubtedly larger animals, at least at some point, existed on the planet, so there is no direct way that we can rule out their existence at this point in time. As final two interesting facts about the Void or the Dead Zone, at some point, the sea dragons and the reapers, as well as a lot of other fauna, were supposed to spawn at the edge of the crater. However, this has since been patched out and changed. And also, together with the lava lakes, this is the only biome that does not harbor any flora for the player to observe. Also, if you are wondering if there is a limit horizontal wise to how far away you can swim from the map, then after approximately 4,000 meters from the map's center, this zone technically ends, the leviathans will no longer spawn, and all you will be faced with is simply empty ocean, which acts as the game's real outer edge. But anyways, next time you find yourself approaching a giant drop-off into the darkness, make sure you think twice before hopping in, because you never know what dangers might be lurking down below. But anyways, with that, I want to conclude this video and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If there is any other information about the Crater Edge that you think is interesting, or maybe small points I simply forgot to mention, make sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'm sure other people watching this type of videos would be interested to read them as well. If you guys enjoyed the video, maybe consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. All of those would be very much appreciated. I want to wish you a beautiful rest of the day, and I'll see you in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.